Hey guys, off the Mike Sports Network here, talking about Arkansas beating Kansas 79-72 in the first round of the NCAA tournament. A high profile game with two big name coaches, John Calipari and Bill Self. And Kansas done after being the preseason number one team since they won the national championship in 2022. They have two tournament wins in the last three seasons. Two tournament wins in the last three seasons since they won the national title. Take away the national title year in 2022. In the last six tournaments, they've only made it. They haven't made it to the second weekend. They haven't made it to the Sweet 16, which is unbelievable to fathom that a team with this much tradition and this much high profile prestige, like, Fog Allen and, Lawrence being the destination for basketball. It's really disappointing. But you know what? This is the name of the game for Bill Self in terms of his career. He has a lot of accomplishments and a lot of regular season wins, but like outside of a couple of years, he hasn't had a ton of tournament success given the talent that he brings in. And this year, like, I mean, back-to-back seasons, they had Hunter Dickinson. They got one tournament win out of that NIL investment. Rylan Griffin comes over from Alabama. They went to the Final Four last year. Rylan Griffin, they don't even get out of the first round this year. So, like, I'm not surprised that Bill Self struggled again to get out of the tournament, but this is a colossally disappointing season for the Jayhawks. Like one of the most disappointing seasons in college basketball that I can remember because, like I said, preseason number one team, you have Hunter Dickinson back for another season, is one of the highest profile transfers in this portal era. And it was a colossal failure. And whether it was, Houston coming into the Big 12 or, now Arizona coming into the Big 12, like, and, it's the Big 12, even though losing Texas and Oklahoma, this is a talented basketball league. And Kansas had run roughshod. It's not their league anymore. This is all Houston. Like Houston controls this league. So we need to have a conversation about Bill Self because Bill Self is in his 60s, early 60s. And, he's been at this at Kansas for a long, long time since Roy Williams left in the mid 2000s. Bill Self's been at this for over 20 years at Kansas. And like he's obviously got the national title in, I think it was 2008, and then they got the national title in 2022. So he's got a lot of accomplishments on his resume. But now you see with the NIL and portal era and what has happened, is it fair to wonder that Bill Self, maybe the game is kind of passing him by? And maybe if we're looking at the, modern coaches in college basketball that have, stepped away, Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, most recently Tony Bennett. And Tony Bennett was in his mid 50s. Jim Larinaga, Leonard Hamilton, so many high profile, like older statesmen who have been around this game for a long time during the olden days are seemingly walking away from the game. And is it fair to wonder if Bill Self might be the next one? Because this is back-to-back seasons where, they flame out in the first or second round. And this was a first-round failure. You start as the preseason number one. You bring in a high-profile transfer in Hunter Dickinson. Back-to-back seasons, that gets you one tournament win. Granted, he was hurt and dinged up, but it's set up like they had a great team that season. It just didn't work out for them. But you bring in a transfer in Rylan Griffin from Alabama. You have a bunch of talented players on your roster, and you can't get out of the first round. Arkansas is a talented team, but Kansas probably should have won that game. And they just completely faltered down the stretch. Yes, they had a big injury in their front court. One of their big star players was injured in this game, and that kind of affected them. But like Arkansas was falling apart with that zone near the end of the game. So I don't know, man. Like, I would not be surprised if we look up in a couple of months and Bill Self is announcing his retirement at Kansas because like I said, you take away a couple of years, this has been a regular occurring thing. Last six tournaments, they've only gotten to the second game. And if a call doesn't go their way against Sanford on a block on a dunk, which was a clear block, they call a foul. Sanford might have won that game. And we could be looking at back-to-back seasons where the Jayhawks were bounced in the first round in the round of 64, which is, to me, like, and I mean, listen, Kansas fans, if you want to come in my mentions, that's unacceptable. This team belongs, especially with like the praise that they had to start the season, they belong in second weekends and regional finals and, national semifinals. Going to the Final Four should be a regular thing. And I'm not saying that Bill Self is a bad coach, but for what we measure up and we expect Kansas to be, this feels like another disappointing season in like a year of in a career of unrealized potential. And with, Houston now taking over the Big 12, it's fair to wonder, does Bill Self consider walking away? Because this has been a regular occurrence, and you get bounced by another coach in John Calipari, who's had his share of March struggles, and that can't feel good either. And then, like I said, you have one of maybe the most high profile transfers of the NIL portal era in Hunter Dickinson, and you get one tournament win out of him, one in 2 seasons. That just like the return on investment and all this other stuff, it's not working. So I wonder what's going to happen at Kansas moving forward if they're going to potentially be, because Jay Wright, another one, and he was gone at the peak after winning 2 national titles at Villanova in a span of like 4 or 5 years, and he's around the same age as Bill Self is now. So it's fair to wonder, I think. So get at me in the comments if you think I'm crazy, because like, listen, Bill Self is a young guy in theory in terms of coaching, because a lot of these guys still are in their 70s and they can coach into their 70s, but it is a full-time job to be a college coach. And with the NIL and portal things, a lot of what made Bill Self successful, um, ultimately not winning in the tournament, but he was still successful with wins in the regular season and Big 12 championships. Now, preseason number 1, they don't even get to they don't even get to the Big 12 championship. Like, this is a conversation that needs to be had. A very disappointing season for the Jayhawks, and it'll be interesting to see how things move forward there in Lawrence. Anyway, I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.